2018 to 2021, helping people with Bitcoin. In early 18, I rented an office space not far from where we lived, and I got a couple early customers. One was doing a Coinbase walkthrough, and the other was doing a paper wallet walkthrough. I traveled to some of the conferences around the country, one in Dallas, one in Chicago, one in New York City, and it was so much fun. It was awesome. I met some neat people. I learned about the latest in the industry. I saw some people I really looked up to, some people I'd never heard of before, new coins. And I still was trying to run the business. I didn't really know a lot of what I was doing, about how to grow it, how to market it, how to sell. I thought I had an MBA at that point, but I thought having an MBA, my experience investing in Bitcoin and just kind of my personality and sales experience and my burden to help people, that all of that combined would make running a business easier. Customers coming in faster and more money coming in. And it was not that way. We still had the lion's share of our Bitcoin, I will say, though, at that point. And Bitcoin was doing pretty well. It had dropped a little bit, but it still was in the teens and $15,000, $16,000, $17,000. We just had our first child by that time, too. So we had our infant son. But by 2019, things kept getting tighter financially. And we had to live partially off Bitcoin for a little while, crazy enough, while my wife worked and I helped watch our son, because I wasn't really bringing in much money from the business. And by spring, though, she got laid off from a really great job, which we totally did not expect, that we thought was secure. And that put everything in perspective, because we were renting this new office space. We thought that we could grow the business and do different kind of a vision for it. And then I had to get back to work. I had to go back and work. So I tried my hand at day trading and swing trading, which day trading is just a day or less, and swing trading is just 2 to 3 weeks, like in a row, and then you flip it. And I did pretty well until I learned why stop losses are so important. And I lost a good chunk of money that way. However, we did finally cash out in 2019, enough to pay off our house. We owed about $200,000 on it, and we paid off other debt. We got off credit cards for good, and we used Bitcoin to get us through the rest of that year, thank God, because we had it and we needed it. And all in all, we came out on top. By 2020, my wife had gotten a new job. We both did, actually, in healthcare, and then COVID hit. And we all got to do everything. Well, I got to do everything remote. She didn't. She had to actually drive there. But I interviewed for my job on the phone. And so it was still tough. We still had to sell some of our remaining Bitcoin to pay for taxes at this point, and even some of the other altcoins. So taxes ended up being about $80,000, because our taxable income was over $400,000, which was a lot. Fortunately, long-term capital gains were only about 15%, and short-term capital gains was our normal tax rate. So, and then I had done really copious detailed note-taking through the whole process, and I just handed my accountant pages of all of these transactions. But by October 2020, I would say that's when I really finally started to completely commit to the business. I began to make videos on YouTube and started a channel called Helping People with Bitcoin. I started a local monthly Bitcoin meetup in the area in Pittsburgh, although because of COVID, we haven't been able to do too much. And I also released a weekly newsletter. But I really felt that out of all of those things, what mattered the most was this e-course, because people were telling me about it. It was still in my heart. I really wanted to do it. And I would still talk to a lot of people about it, even when I went back to work. And I realized I need to get all of this out first. So I scaled back. I pulled back on the newsletter. I pulled back on the meeting in person. I pulled back on even the other videos, and I solely focused since October on just this e-course. So it's been about 8 or 9 months now, and I'm just finishing up this e-course so I can start up those other things again. But Bitcoin now, it went through another new high. It hit about $64,000, $65,000 a couple months ago, and now it dropped again back to about 30, which is just a wild ride. And I'm more excited than ever to kind of get this out there, let people hear this story, talk with people, and let people see this e-course so they can learn and grow. So that concludes my first section, which was my Bitcoin story. I tried to keep it tight and right, kind of on point, and not too long, but also instructive and fun. The next section we're going to go over is called Making Bitcoin Easy, and that's the bulk of the e-course when it comes to the instructive part about what actually is Bitcoin. So this will be pretty dense, okay? So you're probably going to have to pause at times, take notes. I have a supplemental guide that you can use as well, but this is where things are going to start to come together for you. And this is where I think Making Bitcoin Easy is going to shine for you, because you can finally understand what this thing is. So get ready, because I think you're going to love this next part.